Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm really excited to do this tutorial for you guys because I've had a lot of requests for a tutorial on doing that 70s glow golden effect that I had in a video going a while back. And if you remember this image, it was actually taken using a piece of plastic in front of the camera lens. And it really helped, along with dragging the shutter, to create that really 70s disco kind of effect with some of the images and to show the glow on the gold parts of the image too. So it really created that vintage effect. Now, a lot of you are asking, can you do the same effect but in post-processing or in Photoshop? So at the time, I thought there must be a way to do it. And recently I sat down to experiment a little bit in Photoshop and see if I could come up with the same effect. And I got something that was pretty close. So today we're going to go through a couple of steps that I've taken to get a similar effect to this image. And we're going to do it all in post-processing. Just before we get into the video today, I just wanted to let you guys know that my Teachable e-course, Beauty Retouching for Beginners, has relaunched again recently, and I will be taking another 20 students on board for the course in total. So the course begins on the 7th of June and it runs over 6 weeks in total. I will actually be giving personalized feedback via email to each student who joins the course over these 6 weeks, and you guys will also have lifetime access if you choose to purchase. There are 6 modules in total, and there will also be a Beauty Retouching for Beginners Facebook group where we'll do some Q&A sessions, and you guys will also get a lot of images to use for your own retouching work as well. So if you guys are interested in signing up, it is $399 for a one-time purchase, and that gives you lifetime access, or you can opt for the payment plan of $150 a month. If you guys are interested in signing up, make sure to click the link in the description box below, and make sure you do hurry because there are only 20 spots available in total. Okay, so I've got my image up now, and as you can see, this hasn't been taken with the plastic in front of the camera lens. This is from a different shoot, but I feel like we could still get that kind of dreamy vintage effect with it using Photoshop today. So I thought that this might be a good photo to test it out on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the background layer here. So I'm going to drag this into the new layer button. And then we've got our background copy. So I want everything to be under as much control as possible. We don't want anything to be too destructive with these blurring techniques that we're about to apply. We really want to have full control over the image still. So making sure that we've got our background copy layer selected, I'm then going to go up to Filter and then go down to Blur Gallery. Now under Blur Gallery, we've got a few different options here, but first of all, we're going to go to Iris Blur. And I'm going to explain what that is in just a second. So you'll see that there's a big oval here. And you can drag this oval, you can kind of make it wherever you want and position it wherever you want in the image. But you'll see that the outside of the oval is quite blurred. Now this is what that particular feature does. It blurs outside of the shape, so you can still keep a portion of the image in focus. And that's what we want for this. We don't want the entire image to be completely blurred where there's nothing in focus. So with this though, I'm going to make sure that this is set to about 10 pixels because if I have it too high like this, you'll see that there's a very defined line of the oval appearing, and we don't really want that. We want it all to blend very seamlessly. So I'm going to leave it at about 10 pixels. And then we're going to go up to Field Blur, which is actually going to blur the entire image, but we're going to make sure that this is at around 7 pixels because we don't want it to be too hard. We just want a very soft blur here, and remembering that we've used the background copy layer so we can go back and tweak that anytime we want. So once that's at 7 pixels, I'm then going to go down to Path Blur, and this is where things get really exciting for me because this is where you can really create that dragged shutter effect. So instead of using basic blur though in the drop down menu here, we're going to click on that and go to Resync Flash. And this is where you'll see the drag shutter effect starting to take shape. So in terms of the speed, we're going to adjust this to 89. It's kind of got that movement showing, but not too much. We're actually going to move down taper as well. You can see if I move that, it's going to make things look very blurry and it's going to make things look a bit more in focus. So we're actually going to make it look a little bit blurry for now. So moving that down to 7%. And obviously this is not exactly how we want the image to look. So we're going to make a quick adjustment now using a different tab. But just before I do, I'm actually going to just move these little arrows here. You can see that there's a couple of colored arrows and you can actually change the direction. So I'm actually going to change the direction of the blur to kind of like go in line with the makeup, which is all very much being pulled upwards along with the hair. It all looks like it's being swept up. So I'm going to kind of go with that direction at the moment. And you can see here that we've got this section here that's now appeared. By the way, you need to have edit blur shapes ticked to be able to do this. And you've got the endpoint speed. So if we move that up and down, you'll see that it really changes the shutter drag effect a lot. So we're actually going to leave this at about 200 pixels for now, making sure that you can really see the movement. Now the next adjustment that I'm going to make, that I said was going to really change how blurry this was going to look, however, is going down to motion effects here. So you've got your strobe strength, and I'm going to move that up. So you'll see what happens when I move that up to about 50%. It just puts certain areas of the image into focus a little bit more, which is what we want. And then you've got your strobe flashes down here. So you've got it's set to 1 at the moment, but if I move that up, you'll see that you can really create some trippy effects here with that. But for now, I'm actually going to just leave it at 1. I'm kind of happy with how this is looking at the moment, so I'm going to go up to high quality up the top here. We're going to click that box because we want it to be high quality, and then we press OK. And then it's going to do its thing. And there we go. So you can click this on and off and you can really see what a difference that's made. It's really given it that dreamy kind of blurred movement effect. We're going to do a couple of more adjustments though to get it where we really want it. So for a start, I'm actually going to bring the opacity on this down a little bit just because I feel like it might just be slightly too blurry. So we might bring that down to 75%. And I think that looks a little bit better. Then we're going to bring up another layer. So we're going to actually drag this background copy layer now into the new layer button. We're going to go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and we're really going to just blur it up. We're going to have a really, really big radius here. I just want it to look like it's almost glowing, the image. So I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to go to the blending modes here and we're going to select hard light. And you'll see that it really gives it that glow, that really golden glow. However, we're going to move the opacity on this down to about 8% so it's not as striking. It's a little bit more subtle. And you can see the little difference that's just made. It's just added a little bit more warmth and definition into the image there. And now as a finishing touch, we're actually going to go back to the background copy layer, the original one that we were working on. I'm going to get the eraser tool over here and then we're going to make sure that this is really quite big. So maybe around like 1,000 pixels or so, it doesn't really matter. Making sure that it's very soft as well at 0%. I'm also going to make sure that the opacity is quite low, so saying around 20% is fine. And then I'm actually going to just move the brush over areas of the image that I want to bring back a little bit more into focus. So over the eyes, for example, I don't tend to go overboard with this part of it because otherwise it's going to start to look a bit strange and like it has been edited in Photoshop too much, but I'm just going to move it across some of the areas and some of the jewelry that I want to bring back a little bit more into focus. And then as a finishing touch, you can create a little bit more contrast using a luminosity mask. So sometimes I like to do this at the end. I would go to channels, hold down Control on the keyboard and click on RGB. And that's actually going to select the lightest parts of the image. Then going back to layers, I would bring up an adjustment layer. So clicking on this button here, I'd go up to levels and then just move the highlights up a little bit and the shadows down a little bit as well. So you can click that on and off just to see what that's done. Just a little bit more definition and contrast again to the image and a little bit more highlighting that golden glow effect. So I'm going to now take a snapshot and show you guys a before and after. So this is the before image and then this is the after image. So you can see that it really does have that golden glow dreamy effect that this image actually has as well. And you can have a lot more control with this particular tool as well in Photoshop, which is great. You don't have to go too far with it. It's very dependent on the image that you have and you can kind of adjust it to your style and your tastes. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial today, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure that you do, because I'll have so much more content like this in future. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye!